Boom. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Is everything working well? Does the camera look good? How's the mic? Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Give me a thumbs up if everything sounds good. This is live on Sunday evening. And because of that, we're going to do our regular market analysis, and then we're going to answer some of your guys' thoughts and questions, jump back and forth. I kind of wanted to see how this live stream would work. I've got my Canon camera set up, which is kind of a new thing for me to try out, and I want to see if it works. So hats off to Canon cameras for allowing us to actually connect our Canon camera as a webcam. Tell me if you think it looks like noticeably better in doing the live stream for the webcam. Hopefully all the Zoom podcasts will look this good too. So I've been messing around. We've got a few little features where we can like change the screen like this. I don't know, some simple things. We can take a look at news articles. It'll show up here in this one. I really like doing these live streams, and I wanted to bring the live stream back. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to dive in and take a look solely at Bitcoin's price effectively. So one of the things that we always like to do is start off with a broad spectrum time frame in mind, and the reason why we want to do that is because it helps us keep some type of sanity and calmness when there's a lot of FOMO and market potential. Well, let's not call it FOMO. We're still very early on in the bull market, but market potential that's going on right now. So where are we in the markets? We're up high. Yeah, we are up high. We're up at $19,000 plus right now. Ain't that a beautiful thing? Now, if you've been following this channel for quite some time now, you would know that we've been following these tests and these LPSs, and we were waiting for this SOS. Now, my initial characteristic outlook for Bitcoin at the ESO was 16.5 to 17.5, and we hit that. That's actually looking like it's maybe almost the bottom of the new trading range. And it's kind of what we wanted to speculate about. It's what we went over in our last video. This idea right now is to remember that, okay, everything's super exciting. You should just be buying and accumulating Bitcoin. We are still, in general, in the accumulation range. So from an investor standpoint, this is all still money area, right? We're at lows still right now. So this new trading range simply represents another place to continue to either add in long positions or take more exotic plays. Now, one of the things that using this specific analysis can help out with is going more exotic, but at the main point for most people, learning where you are in the trading range isn't about using exotics, because for a lot of you in traders or investors, it's your first time in the markets. It's about having the confidence to know where you are in the market so that you can continue to buy even at levels that are this high and when it drops back down again. Because it is going to drop back down again. Now, we had originally thought it would come back down to 14,000, but we thought it was only going to go up to 17,000. So a big part of what happens next, now that we've seen this kind of new change of character where we had our first big swipe down here, which represented approximately 18% to the downside, this means we are likely going to see a formation of a new trading range. We went over this briefly. Are we going to see a rising gradient bottom for a trading range with a spike down like this? How wide is that trading range going to be? Maybe it's going to be totally horizontal, and we're only going to have a spike down like this to 15,000. It's going to before it shoots back up. Either way, I do believe you're going to witness a fairly strong reaccumulation pattern here in Bitcoin. Now, the third option is something like this, kind of a falling horizontal trading range, where you'd go like this. You'd spring down into 13,000, 14,000, break above the trading range, and then continue out. So one of the points that we want to keep in mind here is understanding this more macro perspective when it comes to taking positions, especially if you are playing with exotics or more leveraged functions in your trading account to beat the alpha effectively. So patience is such an important part of this. This was such a beautiful SOS. Like, wow, fantastic. I've had so much fun in these trades. Now, in Ethereum, where I was trading this previous SOS, let's go over and make a very similar sentiment, but let's look at Ethereum with the idea in mind that it's actually a step ahead of Bitcoin in terms of breaking out of its trading range, and therefore I think a step closer to seeing noticeable highs. Right now, currently, both Ethereum and Bitcoin, from the bottom of the spring to the top of where they are in the SOS, represent around 400% gains, which is fantastic. There's an enormous gains, right? So what I'm also going to point out here is where the relationship between the trading range, the primary SOS, and now this new secondary SOS, because I believe this is what Bitcoin is going to do as well. I believe Bitcoin made its SOS and is going to create its backup phase right now. So there's our conjecture for this night's episode. Where are we effectively, and what does that mean for both of these assets? Where was the one I was just drawing on? Jeez. Okay, right. So here we see an SOS with no backup phase for Bitcoin, but here we see with Ethereum where we were after our primary SOS, we came into our backup phase and we sat there for quite some time before producing the next SOS on Ethereum, which closely aligned with the primary SOS in Bitcoin, which broke out of its trading range. So this is the reason why I use this analysis more than anything else anymore, more than any other market focus, macro ideologies, like I don't even use, like a log chart is great for longer term perspective. What I really like about this trading range idea is very simple. All I'm looking for is horizontal support and resistance and breakouts above or below those trading ranges. And it's really helpful, especially because if you recognize you're in a bull market like we are with Ethereum, you don't get faked out thinking that a head and shoulders is actually something bearish, where in the early parts of the market, a head and shoulders when you're up at $13,000 Bitcoin dropped you right back down to $4,000 Bitcoin. But in a bull market, even if you get a head and shoulders, it's really just likely a short duration distribution event that leads you to another LPS where you should be going long, not continuing to remain short or bearish. We are still at the very early stages of a bull market. Keep that in mind. So this idea of like, oh, it's a bear trap or a bull trap. No, I'm sorry. That doesn't actually make sense. Because we are in a bull market. So these primary SOSs are succeeded by an LPS. So effectively, this is what's going to happen with Bitcoin, I would assume. Now, the level to which that happens is a big question. Even with Ethereum here, we can see that there's a potential for a new trading range, a new horizontal trading range has been taking place. And we've actually looked at this in multiple angles before. When we looked at this, the idea of Jesse Livermore. For those of you who don't know who Jesse Livermore is, when I make these statements, I highly suggest reading the book Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. It is a cult classic in our sector. It is worth the read. But he hypothesized about these kind of megaphone-like breakouts after accumulation occurs. And this to me looks like the successive areas of SOS, LPS, SOS, LPS, SOS, LPS, SOS, and then LPS, most likely SOS. Now, we could go a little bit higher on Ethereum here before we pull back, but we're going to see another pullback. Again, it depends on how long it takes to come back here. Take only 573 before it breaks out in May. We don't know yet, but these SOSs are succeeded by last points of supply. So SOS stands for sign of strength, and LPS stands for like last point of support or supply. Kind of either how we go with it. I think slang is like a good way to look at it. We're just looking at last points of support or the last points of supply. So in this bigger picture with Ethereum here, what we suspect would happen, the same thing with Bitcoin, you have this explosive move out, followed by your LPS, and then again another SOS, followed by another LPS. Each of these LPSs, again, I'm going to keep repeating this because I hope it sinks in, these LPSs are positions for going long. So the reason why it's not a bull trap is because we're in a bull market. Now back here in July, this would be considered a bull trap. This would be your automatic rally before your secondary test in spring. These are bull traps. You think that the bull market is going to go from $322 in Ethereum to $700 back in June 2019 when that didn't happen. That's a bull trap. We are in a bull market, so no, any LPS here is going to represent another position to go long, or find again positions of exotics if you're into that type of thing. So what does this mean? Well, I guess one of the fun parts about technical analysis and trying to understand where you are in the markets is we don't know. just like any good scientist, you want to come to the table saying, I don't know, but I'm excited to discover what the market's going to tell me today. That way you can place your positions effectively, right? If you come in at the top of the SOS and are extremely bullish, and then there's even a short pullback, like let's look here at Ethereum, you had a 31% pullback into the bottom of the trading range, you get scared away, you don't rebuild your position, you don't build stronger positions because of this 30% rebound, then you miss all the fun. So if you're up at $473, you call for Ethereum a bull trap at that point, but it only drops 30% and then shoots up another 60%. I'm sorry, you misunderstood what a bull trap means. Bull trap, again, it would be way back here at the beginning of the trading range. The automatic rally is actually subsequently what most people would call the allegorical bull trap. So when we are this high up in the market, and we do recognize that there is a potential for weakness, much like we're looking at here, the LPS coming into play for Bitcoin, or the last point of supply, then and maybe we'll go over this. I'll start to bring up the some of the Arcane Bear Wyckoff charts more often, but I just wanted to try out this live stream stuff. So let me guys know how's it going. Do you like the live stream? Let's see. Let's take a look at what everyone's saying. Let's see here. We're gonna show you. Hold on, look at this. Look how high quality hopefully the video is this evening. So what I did, guys, is I plugged in my Canon camera, and now I can I unplugged the audio. There we go, we're back. There we go. See, I don't even know how to use this stuff yet. So I wanted to see, okay, let's take a look here. I've got all your guys' thoughts and questions. So looks great, thank you. Sharpness is much better. Yes, good. I'm glad we figured that one out. Canon, I can just plug it in USB now. Thank you for doing that. That's such a sweet utility. Now, guys, you don't know, but if you want to know, if you have a Canon camera, like the one that I have, Mark D 5D Mark IV, there's a bunch of other ones. There's just a simple utility you can download on your computer, and now your awesome camera works as a webcam, which is great, because my lenses are fantastic. Look how clear that looks, and we are live. It's not my other webcam I can just throw in the garbage now. This is great. So if you have a Canon camera, it's a great feature. Thank you, Canon. I know in the middle of a pandemic, there's probably a bunch of people that have old Canon cameras that they can now use as a awesome webcam that they didn't have a webcam before. I think that's great. I really appreciated finding that today. Okay, so next thing on the list. Topped out bull trap. Yeah, no, we went over that one already. Yes, we are in the bull market still. Can you take a look at link? Yes, we'll add link to the list. Thank you, guys. We're going to basically take a little bit of a community chat right now. Focus on this one. What tokens should we look at for this live AMA, guys? That's up to you now. Let's dive in and take a look. It'll be fun, they said. Okay, Ren as well. Digging as a side note, wouldn't mind seeing a vlog about your life down there. Okay, guys, I get it. I'm gonna do more vlogs and stuff. I'll tell you what's been going on. It's been really difficult in Costa Rica because it's been raining all the time. It's been monsoons and scenes, and we had back-to-back hurricanes, the pandemic, and protests where we couldn't get across the bridge. It was just great. But summer's here and things feel a lot better, so I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, guys. I mean, it makes a big difference for me to be able to go out and just sit in the sun. So yes, summer's back. We will do more jungle vlogs. It's just easier to do everything now that it's not raining like consistently 24 hours a day. Okay, next thing, vlogs on the list. Nice lighting and live stream looks good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Again, so stoked on this new feature that we can go live like this, and I can just go, hey, look, another night's episode brought to you by BlockFi. Go to blockfi.com/arcanebear and sign up today. If you already have an account, just change your name, change your address, get a new voter registration, and sign up for blockfi.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just having fun. Okay, let's say, so we've got Ren on the list, Link, ADA, Waves. Okay, that's a lot. Excellent. Okay, there's too many now. Now there's too many. I should have known this would happen. Okay, let's go with Link, and I saw Cardano there. Oh, and Aave, yes, and Ren. Okay, so we have Aave's founder Stani coming on the show this week. So shout out to Aave. That'll be fun. Looking forward to that. And I want to. Okay, so we'll go over those. Let's start with Aave. Let's see. I wonder if this. We'll figure it out here. We'll figure out some more interesting ways to use this live stream stuff and back to making vlogs again. But for now, this will do. Okay, we will start with Aave. We're going to start with Aave. The DeFi sector in general has been providing a lot of momentum, and I think it's important to recognize and know that the market kind of knows better. So we went over a lot of this in the Wyckoff idea about the composite man kind of just buying up everything during a bull market, and effectively the whole sector doing kind of well. In these transitions and in these changes right now, what we've seen is things like Aave and Wi-Fi do really well on the back of the rest of the bull market. So I want to go over two things very quickly before we look at Aave, so I hope everyone appreciates this. But number one, I've started charting more against the US dollars because the DeFi sector represents the use of the US dollar as a stable coin, and it's injecting the same risk as the US dollar directly into our financial system. But it's good for Bitcoin because that's what everyone values in dollar form anyways. I'm not sure. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to happen for me. I just wanted to put it out there. We're charting mostly in US dollars now because somewhere within the last 6 to 7 months, DeFi has made such a big difference in what's going on in this ecosystem that it's beneficial to look at more things in US dollars. It's probably because of the leverage, these exotics, the perpetuals, the futures, all these different types of options and contracts that we did not have in 2017 is actually making the US dollar more relevant, which is a very interesting point of conversation, but we're not going to go over that far into it for now. I just wanted to point that out before I look at Aave versus US dollars instead of BTC right now. So from November forwards, you have a 230% gain. Now, what we're doing here is looking at, wow, that's a lot of strength versus the US dollars. Now, it's actually outpaced Bitcoin. Now, we could look at that on the chart and it would be obvious to us. Now, at this moment, it's not totally to the point. We know that Bitcoin is the alpha of the portfolio, so all we want to end up doing is trading for more Bitcoin, not for US dollars, but the US dollars are now seeming to be the base function of how the currency system works here. Again, I don't know. So that's what we're doing. Anyways, nonetheless, a little bit more complex to keep track of the alpha this way, but these new leverage exotics and bigger players are making them more relevant. So that extreme power of like 230% represents the market signaling to us that there is obviously something going on in the DeFi sector. Now, what were to happen if Bitcoin were to drop? Is this another reactionary measure from a large drop down? So we're actually going to use Wi-Fi to kind of complete part of our sentiment here, at least to some degree. I want to go over two things because I think it's important. But number one, we're going to talk about trying to time the markets or like get the market right, like which one of these is the best DeFi one to be in. We've talked about the DeFi perpetuals on FTX. Sign up at ftx.com or arcanebear.com/FTX. No, these DeFi perpetuals are great though because it's a basket of things like Aave and Wi-Fi. But the importance here that I want to point out is the structural integrity and breakdown, because we're very high up yet. So we could consider this still a first kind of automatic reaction. We don't know where the rest of this trading range is taking place yet. We want to be more patient, especially because Bitcoin is providing us such a unique opportunity to right? So reason why Wi-Fi and Aave and a lot of these are having even more have values because Bitcoin is providing a lot of collateral to that. Ethereum as well now, and even more and more on a daily basis. I'm just going to have to jump around in a little bit of conjecture here. But if you take a look at Dune Analytics today, you have over 1.14648 million Ethereum locked up in the contract right now for Ethereum 2.0, and that represents a $600 million US dollar lock inside of effectively another format of DeFi, right? Like Ethereum is DeFi, So Ethereum 2.0 is like DeFi 2.0. You're going to be able to offer a lot of the services now at even cheaper transaction functions. It's going to like even more and more sense depending on how you write some of this stuff. A whole new world of projects are going to be able to be built in terms of what you can accomplish by integrating some of this stuff. It's going to take time, but when we go back to the outlook on the rest of this DeFi sector, part of me wants to remain patient. Like this was a prime opportunity to take advantage of getting into Wi-Fi and Aave, which was this spike down. And we even saw it in Avalanche, this November final kind of point of capitulation around the general elections. I think it goes to show, most importantly here, what I want to focus on about Aave and November here, this kind of primary entry point was, guys, we have to be on the lookout for moments that feel like there's fear, because that's the moment you want to go buy more of whatever asset you were interested in before the fear arrived. So you need like a list of things that are interesting to you, so that when it's fearful and you're like, oh my God, there's the elections, we don't know who's going to be president, blah, 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 blah. That's when you go buy. You go buy when there's uncertainty in the markets, and you want to sell when there's euphoria in the markets. Now, categorizing the euphoria is a little bit harder. We're still near the beginning of the fear stage from the pandemic and the elections and all this crap that's going on around the world. Anyways, the point of this is, more specifically, that this kind of height moment of psychological pandemonium in what was like November, we'll call November somewhat of a comparative to the pandemic, but this was our general spring. This is where if you're looking at Wi-Fi, and shout out to Baloo again for this downward ascending channel, because I wasn't watching Wi-Fi, but here's the spring, here's your backup phase, and then a very nice breakout. Again, I would speculate that we're probably witnessing a larger trading range come into play, because there's not enough data to hear. We're looking at the birth of new types of financial primitives. It's extremely exciting. So a lot of the times I try to, after these big reactionary measures, if you didn't get in November during the previous moment of fear, you wait for more fear. You can almost measure a good trade by how scared you are of what the market might do tomorrow. If you're scared that the market's going to do something, or if you're scared in the market of how low it could go, you're probably getting into a good place to find a long position. So with things again like Aave with Wi-Fi right now, I'm being very patient with their volatility, because I know they're powerful, I know they're valuable, and if they do represent that much bigger opportunity, it's going to give me time. I don't need to just jump in, even if you're looking at 230% gains. Now, the point of this here, I think, is about understanding venture capital, because if you see something interesting like Wi-Fi, don't wait, don't think, just buy small amounts. That's how you make great venture capital investments, is you don't think a whole lot, and you make smaller investments, and you try to keep a lot of those going, like a lot of small investments and things you find interesting that you basically just walk away from. You put $100 in each of them, you kind of, great, these are about $1,000 each, whatever you can afford. And you look at it more of a venture capital perspective. It could be worth nothing, or it could be worth 100% or 100 times more. So you just leave it do its thing. Okay, so that was my conjecture around Aave Wi-Fi, and I guess just in general the DeFi sector. I'm really interested. I think it's one of the most exciting parts of our space. Now that I've gotten my mind around it, took me a little while. It was a little late, but that's okay. We get there. You figure it out. You put more time in studying. You're like, oh wow, this is noticeable. Okay, so let's take a look at a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions, and we'll go back to this one, and we'll take a look. And you say you guys want to take a look at Ample, ICX, ADA. Okay, so let's do another question moment, because it's Sunday night, and we can just kind of chill. There's no rush, right? You guys we're having an evening together now. For whoever watches this video tomorrow, though, it's gonna be a long live stream of just, I guess it's almost like an ASMR mic. Like I could be, if I was a smooth intellectual conversationalist, I could basically talk about nothing and everything, as long as it sounds good. It's going to be appealing. It's one of the things I really like about some of the gurus, is I don't care what you're saying, I just like how you're saying it. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this nothingness. I love this. Okay, so thoughts on library, because it's the question I was looking at before I dropped into that rabbit hole. And propelled by YouTube censorship, in general, there's a problem. We shouldn't be censoring anything. We should just let critical-minded people come to the conclusion. But the problem is we start to share things that are over dramatic and controversial, because as a human species, we're drawn towards things that are dramatic and controversial, because that's how we've survived, is by being aware of the things that might affect us. So there are some downsides to the human nature in that aspect, but because of that censorship at like a big tech level, it's difficult, because we've never had this much kind of media freedom where I could produce a video that goes live to hundreds of people within like minutes with a high quality camera, mic, and at the cost of what? Nothing, pretty much, not compared to what it used to cost. So there's the cost benefit analysis of the fact that YouTube exists, even if you get censored, is like, okay, well, yes. Have I been self-censoring to some degree? I would call it, I've been focusing. I no longer wanted to, I made a decision after March. I'm like, look, guys, I'm going to spend all my time pretty much studying the markets here and investing. Venture capital specifically is where I want to go into for the next few years. So the idea was to focus, not self-censor. I think that the idea is about a mentality of the choice, right? Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be producing content about election fraud, because what do I know? Now, I'm very interested. I listen to the hearings in the background while I'm working, and I go over these things that are controversial, but it's not my interest. I don't care unless it has something to do with making me more money or productive for my business outlook of how I can like do fun things and build education, like, and educational content and ideas and stories, etc., then I don't really care anymore, because it's not my sword to fall on per se. So I just focus. So censorship, I think, is of 2020 became a question of focus for me, because it is a difficult question. If you could talk, I could maybe even they try to ban my video just because I said election fraud in the video, right? Like, we don't know. I don't know. Like, warning. I have no idea, right? We have to wait and find out. We're going to find out. I'll let you guys know. So the point of that is, I don't think that library solves that problem for YouTube, because the distribution of YouTube is what's the most interesting to me, which is the ability to communicate to people via like a large platform's distribution capability. So it would take a long time for library to build that. It's not just the content, it's the distribution of that content that's so valuable. Okay, look at look at Tomo, Ample. What's the most promising sub $1 coin to invest in? Okay, Matt Watson, I want to talk about this question and make a statement, because I think a lot of people get this wrong. Matt Watson, I don't mean to pick on you here, but I want to point something out that I think a lot of early investors and traders make as a mistake, which is caring about what the actual price of the token is. It doesn't matter. Caring about the price of what anything is doesn't matter if you can buy it in fractionality, right? So you can buy a millionth of a Bitcoin. It's called a Satoshi. I believe I got that math correct. So because you can buy a fraction of something, you don't want to think about its one-for-one cost. What you want to look for is a percentage gain, not is this coin $1 or $100, but can it go up 10x? Because even if it's $100 and you can buy a percentage of that $100 and it goes 10x, the going up 10x is actually more important than the part of the price tag at the front. So take, for instance, Wi-Fi we were just looking at has a $30,000 price tag today, up from $8,000, which represents a 230% gain. So that 230% gain is more so what you're after than the actual dollar to price change, right? Because it doesn't really matter. So here it's a conversation of supply. So you've got 30,000 liquid Wi-Fi tokens that you can buy. So the very limited supply creates this very high price tag, because there's only so many of them. There's only so many fractions within that price tag that will equate to that dollar price. So the price drives up from $3,000 to $30,000. It was, Wi-Fi is effectively worth was at one point 2 Bitcoin, right? So the idea of sub $1 doesn't make too much difference. So more importantly, what we want to focus in is on the potential of gain. Bitcoin has a lot of potential right now. So if you're looking for like more of a venture capital, like 100x, you just put maybe a few $100s, a few $1,000s, a few $100,000, $1 million, whatever you can afford to throw into various parts of the DeFi sector. Part of that we went over was just the DeFi perpetuals, which is a way to grab a basket of all the currencies that are in the DeFi sector instead of just one currency, which is in the DeFi sector. So I think that's an important part as well. So let's take, I hope that answers your question, Matt, because I don't think it's not about the price of the coin. It's about how much the coin goes up. And I think in general, the DeFi sector, even if it's kind of monkey with darts type throwing, if you go with the perpetuals, like the index, that's a great way to go. If you want to be more consistent with your security so you can store everything. I'm not even sure if Ledger can secure Avalanche yet. Like there's so many things here. I think the perpetuals and the baskets from FTX is a good option for DeFi. That's what I'm personally doing. Anyways, we'll go with that. One Satoshi is 100 millionth. Okay, great. Thank you for that correction. I was it was 8 zeros. Is that correct? Anyways, we'll figure it out. I don't remember exactly. 1 millionth. Okay, great. Perfect. 1 millionth. The Satoshi. It's 1 millionth of a Bitcoin. Thoughts on Theta? I don't think Theta ultimately will be successful personally. I don't think that they have the distribution to cover it now, unless if Theta gets bought out by YouTube, I could see something like Theta becoming successful. Ultimately, I think you're gonna see a race here for is, do these companies adopt? Like the question, let's use PayPal as an example. Does PayPal come up with a US dollar PayPal coin that you can stake and earn 8% interest on? Or your Bitcoin even, right? Like what if PayPal had a contract with like BlockFi, and now every time you're staking your Bitcoin in PayPal, you're earning like 6 to 8% interest, and now you have one of the largest payment providers providing you 150 times higher interest rates than your general bank? That would be a ridiculously big monster move for the whole world. That would send shockwaves, because it would produce more wealth, right? The DeFi sector represents, I think, the production of more wealth through collateral. And I think it's important because we don't have that right now. We've lost that ability. You don't earn interest rates. Like there's lots of people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars, like these kids doing drop shipping. A bunch of the guys I work with, they guys making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day sometimes, just selling stuff via Amazon and ranking #1 in Google. So, in terms of what Theta can do as a distribution, unless it were to be adopted specifically by a functioning network, I think that there are other players out there that have a better chance of winning that sector. And it ends up being something like a Roll. Shout out to Bradley Miles. We've got that podcast coming out this week. But it just seems more sensible that they would remove the risk and give each of the creators kind of their own currency to use, and then their creator currency would run through the ecosystem and not the Theta token currency, because it doesn't make sense. You're removing the original participation factor that functions so well for the community, which is that if you get in early and you participate, you're rewarded for that, right? So what Theta does is there's a lot of people that have already participated a long time ago that are being rewarded the most for participating. It doesn't meet the standards of what the decentralized world has really offered, I don't think. Now, there's some wild speculation. They've got some cool tech from what I can understand. And again, it's probably an ERC20 token. They're probably just using the technology of to do certain things that that YouTube might buy out. But I'm not particularly sure about the long-term aspects of how tech like this gets adopted into things like Web 3.0, because I believe it's better to offset the liability and give every creator their own currency to function with instead. That's a different story. Okay, let's see here. I'm into Bitcoin since 2015 of ETH Dash, Litecoin, and Pod 27. I'm looking for my next move. I haven't invested in a while, but your explanations make sense. I think, how do you buy the basket? You can go to arcanebear.com/FTX. You sign up for your FTX account because we want your referral affiliate commissions. And then you can buy the DeFi Perpetuals basket there. If not, there will likely be other places that start to offer this stuff in the future. Actually, as a matter of fact, let's kind of take a look at something right now that's a little bit of a fun one. We're going to jump over here and we're going to take a look at this article here. The S&P Dow Jones Indices to launch cryptocurrency indexes in 2021. London Reuters reports S&P Dow Jones as division of the financial data provider for S&P Global Inc. said on Thursday that will launch cryptocurrency indices in 2021, making it the latest major financial company to enter this nascent asset class. The S&P DJI branded products will use data from New York-based virtual cryptocurrency Luca on more than 550 of the top traded coins, the company said. The S&P's clients will be able to work with the index provider to create customized indices and other benchmarking tools in cryptocurrencies. So there you go. Even if FTX isn't the main provider right now, you do have some of the biggest players stepping up to the market saying, hey, look, we're going to also offer those indices. But right now, if you go to arcanebear.com/FTX, you can use FTX. And shout out to Sam Bankman-Fried because I think he provides a fantastic product. And you should use it instead of the S&P 500's access to this new asset class because they made fun of us before we got here. Or before they got here. And now they're showing up and we're still here. So go support FTX instead of the S&P 500. But this idea of building indices into the stock market should not be understated. This is a massive amount of access. So it says with this digital asset such as cryptocurrency becoming the time is right for independent, reliable, user-friendly benchmarks. Peter Roffman, global head of innovation and strategy at the S&P Dow Jones Indices, stated the move by one of the world's most well-known index providers could help cryptocurrencies. Reuters, look at all these freaking ads. Alibaba. Like, come on, guys, get a job here. Like, why are there so many ads on your website? Bitcoin was trading in just 19. You should have bought more Bitcoin, Reuters. You fucked up. Bitcoin was trading in 19,300 last trading on Thursday, having soared around 170% this year alone. Cryptocurrency. So this is big news, guys. So I guess what I wanted to I wanted to sidestep there and kind of talk about that idea, which is just that you have this big adoption coming into the market right now, and it's these indices, the potential to be able to find exposure to a basket is going to become more and more prevalent. And because of the popularity, they're going to become more and more valuable. We're at the very start of some of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. If you are here already, you got to remember that's like better than pretty much everybody. We're still in we're like right around maybe 1% of the world's population that have anything to do with this sector. Maybe more now. I think it's a little bit more. So the important part here is to just remember to keep accumulating. We're in a multi-decade process of transition into an innovation tech boom, that which the likes of my mind has never seen. We're probably able to fly commercial to the moon in the next like 20 years for all I know. Like, hey guys, we're going to the dark side of the moon. Listen to Pink Floyd. I don't know. Pink Floyd's hologram is playing on the dark side of the moon for the 79th anniversary of Pink Floyd. I don't know. Jesus Christ. But that's what the future might look like. So you got to keep that in mind. Okay, next question. FTX won't work in the US. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, I just went on that big FTX rant for no reason. Okay, well, you might have to wait for the S&P indexes. I'm not sure. No, there will be other ways to do it. Let me look into that a little bit more, Matt. Make sure you subscribe and follow the videos. I will look into that more and see if there are other opportunities for DeFi perpetual baskets. Okay, next question. Theta is not just an ERC20. It has its own blockchain. Seemingly irrelevant in my standpoint. There was Blu-ray, and we went with DVD, and then we were very quickly supplanted by Netflix, so I don't think it really matters too much. It's like a just so many iterations will take place in such a short period of time. But look, if you're interested in venture capital, have exposure to Theta if you think it's the thing, and just basically walk away. That's what you do. And if as you become more convinced, if that's the case, you happen to becoming more convinced about what it is you think is going to happen, then you invest a little more. And you think of it like venture capital, which is you just know they're volatile, they could be worth nothing, and you limit your risk and cap size to match that so that you can sleep every night and you can increase your bid the more confident you become. That's my goal for you then, because I don't know. What do I know? There's like 100,000 things that are creating new blockchains every week, it seems like. Okay. Early 2017, you might add in the spring before the bull run. I didn't sell. Well, that's good. You should sell someone in the bull run right now. What's your favorite DeFi product? hard question. I just like the idea, the concept. I'm much more a concept guy than I'm like a single thing that I like. Like if you look behind me, I have all these instruments, not because I'm like, yeah, that one right there, that's my jam. But this one I like a little less. But over here, this other one, like the drum kit, that's my most favorite. Even though it's true, in general, the concept of music is what I'm much more interested in. So we just go with that. I guess to some degree, you're looking at anything in the DeFi sector. You've got Misego, right? You have any of the Plasma second layer roll-up solutions like Loopring and Matic. Just in general, the growth of what Ethereum is doing and how quickly they get to that 100,000 transactions per second, because they're already working with MasterCard and UNICEF and all over the world. Their products are solving real world problems. I think Ethereum's kind of taken the cake for that already, and you're just going to see iterations of what's being built on the Ethereum virtual machine from now on. Now, again, you still make bets on things like Avalanche or Polkadot because we're smart enough to know that we don't actually know what is going to happen. So we disperse that confidence through diversity to some degree. Okay. Hey Tio, can you check the KSM chart? Very bullish run. Okay, there is a US FTX site. Great, that's good. I'm glad to hear. 2021 is going to be epic. Absolutely, we agree with this as well. Just got here. Is it peaking out? We're in the final stages of the SOS, but at the very beginning of a bull market. So kind of like we're at the end of 2020, but at the beginning of 2021. Keep that in mind. This is always about time and where to buy. So what do you think about Chainlink? I will look at Chainlink. Okay, let's go on just a conceptual thing here, because I did the stupid thing when I was younger of thinking I knew what was going on when I was investing. So I bought Bitcoin, and then when Bitcoin was around and there was Ripple and Chainlink, I didn't just buy like $1,000 of each of them and forget about it. I got attached to the idea that I thought that I would know better. And it turns out I don't know almost anything. So one of the best things I can do is when there's something interesting is I can actually just put money there and not think too much, just put small amounts there. So with Chainlink, the reason I missed it is because there's this technology sector's macro influence is mostly how well do you understand technology? And I don't know anything about code. No, I don't. I don't know almost anything about code. So it's so easy to miss that macro change as it comes in. Can I look at this? Can I just zoom in here too? Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know anything about macro coding or like technology. I like that. Again, I just like that I can plug my camera in and this all works now. It's fantastic. So aside from the chart, which we'll get to, what I want to get to before the chart is this kind of conceptual aspect about recognizing the macro perspectives of technology, and for someone like me who doesn't know that much about coding, recognize the gap that I have into being able to be like, oh, Chainlink, I can see why an Oracle is obviously a valuable thing. Like after someone explained it to me, like really sat me down, was like, okay, Tio, I'm gonna explain this to you like the monkey you are. And then I'm like, oh great, yay, clap my cymbals together, like yay, I get it now. That's the difficult part to overcome, because often as investors we think that we're smart enough to know better than other people, and it's a grave mistake, because the market and the community decides. It's not always clearly indicated which one of these is going to be the winner, especially early on in markets. So what we do is we play that ignorance card to our advantage, and as we find winners, we lean into them and we acquire more of those positions, and the other ones we just forget about and kind of walk away from. So you want to make sure that you could always walk away from them to some degree, and you increase your play. So with Chainlink, once you get past that point, like for me, where I'm like, I didn't understand why the tech took place, etc., mostly focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum at that time, other proof of work tokens I like. But now more specifically from an investment standpoint, because the DeFi sector brings so much value to the table, things like Chainlink are on an ever increasing basis more and more important. So let's take we'll always use it. Alex Kushner says, join the Arcane Bear group. I appreciate that, Alex. Alex is a fantastic part of our community. He does good things. I'm excited to see all the fun things Alex produces. We're gonna dive into Chainlink. I know Alex is a fan of Chainlink here. Check out iconmedia.agency as well. I think that's Alex's website. Giving Alex a plug. Okay, where am I going here? Oh yes, we're gonna take a look at Chainlink. Alex, it's good to have you here. We're live. I haven't done a live show in quite some time, so this is exciting. And what we're going to do here with Link, now that we've gotten my conjecture out of the way, is look at these two trading ranges. Now, we've been watching this one for quite some time, and I have a stop loss put in place, and I took my position 10.7, 11.3. Still in that position. Haven't touched it. Feeling pretty good so far. Made my entries here. And my stop loss is sitting around 11.7, I think, like this. Yeah, 11.7. It's not drawn in on these because it doesn't keep track of it, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm actually pretty close to getting stopped out. But I think we're going to see a bull breakout. This actually looks very common for the SOS and LPS backup to me. The strength that comes next will likely be indicated by Bitcoin strength. Now, we've seen multiple returns to lower regression lines, so we could come a little lower here, and it would stop me out. It doesn't invalidate the position here for Link, which is ultimately, I think, in one of its final stages of bull market. And when I say that, I mean like it could explode to like $50, $60, $100. Who knows? I have no idea. I don't really want to pretend to predict that I can to know how high sometimes. We could actually probably get pretty close, but it's not worth thinking about. I try to find one step at a time instead of thinking too far into the future. It kind of messes with my head. Like, look, we don't know what Link could be worth $1 million if the dollar is worth nothing. It all depends, right? We don't know what happens in the future. And that's kind of what this whole game is about, is trying to understand what happens in the future. So we limit how much of the future we're looking at a time so that we can make easier conjecture. It's like trying to predict. We can't even predict the weather 7 days out. You know what I mean? There's no sense in trying to predict the climate 10 years out. It's just silly nonsense. So what we do, to some degree or another, is we make predictions of these shorter term variations that can lead into larger predictions that are more sane, because they give us a stepping path. Like I said, I thought Bitcoin was going to go to $10,000 when we were at $90. For it to go to $100,000 now is just easy. Yeah, of course it is. That makes sense now. So with Link, how high it goes is really relative to, are we going to always be evaluating things in US dollars? Is a big part of the question for Bitcoin as well. But more importantly, is if we start to see this breakout continue above, it looks very similar to what we were watching with Ethereum. We would likely see a push up of around 17,000. We'd see a final kind of backup phase, and then how high it goes, I'm only going to try to figure that out once we get there, because it's going to give us clear distinctions of a distributive top, and it's likely going to finalize the bull market for Chainlink. Hey guys, at this moment I want to remind you, if you haven't yet and you haven't joined, or if you haven't subscribed, if you're new to the channel, go click that subscribe button and click the little bell. That way every time we make a video you will get notified. I don't know why. I think this is what I get from listening to the Georgia State Senate hearings and the Michigan State Senate hearings. I'm fascinated by learning. I just like listening to things. I don't really care what happens ever. I don't care how the experiment turns out. I'm not attached to it. I'm just grateful any of it's happening. So I try to just listen on and not be judgmental, but just at least be open enough to listen. That's one of the most productive things you can do as an individual, I think, is, even though you probably know like the world isn't flat, give it a try. Just listen. We shouldn't be banning ridiculous ideas. We should just let all information flow freely and encourage critical thinking, so that people are intelligent and capable enough to come to conclusions that are sound most of the time, instead of regulating speech and ideas. Oh my God. Okay, I don't want to run off on tangents, but I just love that we can be live with like such a nice camera right now. I feel like I've been I would like to thank Canon one more time here for making this free upgrade to all my cameras. That's That's really great, Canon. You just added like $1,000 more value out of my camera to me. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's take a look at more thoughts and questions here. Watch OMG tonight, Bear Fam. Huge acquisition, more news. Yeah, I think again, OMG is another one of these players in the DeFi sector. I don't think they should be overlooked. We've been shout out to Supernova who played Omise Go. There's so many choices here. That's why I think to some degree one of the best things you can do is probably small scale venture capital, like $1,000 here, $1,000 there, and then keep Bitcoin as your money, your central focus of investment, and become like your own little private venture capitalist. I mean, $1,000 in DigiByte 7 years ago is worth a lot more today. Just think about it like venture capital. I think ultimately it will pay off. Just as I just see BoxMine going live, crypto opportunities with OMG. I should have changed the title to OMG again. I'll do it tomorrow, guys. We're doing an OMG video tomorrow. Okay, let's see more thoughts here, and then maybe we'll close out for the evening. If you want to start a position in Link, there is an entry price you would recommend at this point. Bill asks, if you want to start a position in Link, is there a price you would recommend at this point? If you haven't started a position in something you're interested in, Bill, don't think about price. Just start and acquire smaller amounts on a frequent basis so you can be comfortable about your acquisition price. So say you're like, I got $5,000 I want to get into the market, right? $50,000 I want to get into the market. $500,000 we're going to get in the market. Break it out over a period of time so that you're averaging in on a price. Because if you go and try to execute that all at once, you could do a number of things. You could even change the market price, not that you will with Link, but you could. You just need a lot of money. I'm not saying, I guess maybe you can do it. I don't know. Have to find out, Bill. I'm not sure. But I guess the more important part here is that consistent kind of, I think a lot of people call it dollar cost averaging. You should just put in whatever you can on a consistent basis by time. I think it's a time averaging in that's the most effective way to go, which is just on a weekly or a monthly basis, you're going to execute and buy X amount and not think about the price. And then that way, so what I would say is just right now, just buy less and then wait a week and then buy more and then do that consistently. That way, no matter what happens in the short term, you are effectively taking advantage of it. So I think the most successful way for the average investor, especially during accumulation periods like this, where we're not on a full bull market cycle, is to continue accumulating on a time average basis, not a dollar. I don't give a crap about your dollar cost. Time average it. Do it all the time and do it consistently. Do that for the rest of your life. That's probably one of the best investment pieces of advice I could give if I was giving a piece of investment advice, but I'm not giving investment advice. I guess that's what I'd have to say. Okay, let's see here. More thoughts, more questions. I'm loving this live stream with a high quality camera, guys. It just makes me feel better. Like I feel like I'm more professional now. Hey, look, your mic sounds good and the video sounds good and you're streaming. It's 2021, the end of 2021, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all again. 27,000 plus subscribers too, by the way. That's a milestone for the Arcane Bear. We'll take a sip of kombucha, fermented beverage, to that one. Thank you guys all for the support over the last few years. I can't believe the Arcane Bear is still a thing that I make videos all the time with. When I first started making photos and videos about pineapples, I never would have imagined I'd still be doing it. I thought it was just like, oh, this would be fun for the weekend. I'll make some videos. I love YouTube. I love the community that we've built with the Arcane Bear. Thank you guys for that. Shout out to 27,000 plus Bear family members strong. That's a great moment. Next topic. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Bill, effectively. Makes sense. Got it. Thank you. Much more confidence doing it that way. Yeah, just boom, execute. Don't think, just do. So many times in life, this can be such a valuable attribute. Like, oh my God, I've been so riled up with the fact that we've been locked down. I used to fly around all the time and do all this crazy in my life, and I just been chilling, being like, okay, you be patient for this year. Don't do as much stuff right now. I bought a motorbike. Like, I'm Okay. Anyways. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, time average into the markets and do that for the rest of your life. That's my best advice. I think that's the best advice, hands down. Okay. Yes, the video and audio is super crisp. I'm so grateful for this. I really like this part because look, it means we can do stuff like this too. I got this other kind of screen set up, so I could go over here, and now you guys can see probably me and the chart of Link, right? So I can pretend that I'm not so narcissistic. Look, guys, now you can look at me and the charts. And but you can still see me, right? That's important too. Okay, we're having fun with this. Are the shrooms kicking in? No, actually, I did not take any mushrooms, but I do have a bunch picked. They are legal here in Costa Rica. I turn them into mushroom chocolates, although I much more prefer mushroom honey. Next time they all go into the honey. But none tonight. I will actually, on that note, I'm going to take some tomorrow just for you. Who said that? Blade Runner Nexus tomorrow for you. I'm taking a nice little microdose of mushrooms. I appreciate the I appreciate the inspiration for that. Thank you. It's the end of 2021. Yes, the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. My friend does shrooms help to do better trades. Let's think about mushrooms more as just doing better as a person. If you do better as a person, you actually end up becoming a better trader. It's a hard thing, but it's true. Personality is so important in your investment and trading thesis, because it involves your ability to deal with your human emotions on a moment-to-moment basis, and that's important. So here we go. We got Bitcoin in the 1 minute. That's kind of exciting. People always love the 1 minute. Changes so quickly. Let's see here. So interesting. So I could probably make that. How does that look? Does it look okay that you can see kind of the other screen, or is it too small? Anyways, doesn't really matter. We'll just leave it open like that. We'll keep ranting. Thanks for your awesome insights. My pleasure. I love this chat. Okay, thoughts on RSR? I don't know much about RSR from a conceptual level. Oh yeah, you guys want me to look at REN too? Okay, we'll get there. Time average into the markets. Yeah, just always do it over the rest of your life. I think that's the best. That's like the smartest investment thesis ever. Who cares about the amount of dollars? It doesn't matter. Just do it all the time. Funny, I found you through a video you did on psychedelics. Awesome. That's great. I appreciate. See, you know what? This is the other thing. I really appreciate that this channel can be so eclectic and abstract, and that means a lot to me. Means I don't get bored talking about just price go up, people happy, yay, price go up, more vindication, yay, price go down, you not see good asset value. Jeez, it's so much fun, so much better when we can talk about mushrooms and when we can take mushrooms. What's the setup you were using and cost? I don't know. What do you mean? What setup? Do you mean microphone setup, camera setup, trading view setup, the house that I live in? The farm, the fiber optics. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that could go into what setup I'm using. I'm not sure if the camera will even last this long. Hold on a sec. It's still full. Oh, because it's not recording either. It's just sending image data. The batteries last way longer than they used to. This is great. Thank you, Canon, for this new feature. Okay. I have a Canon 5D Mark IV with a Rode NT1 microphone, but the 5D Mark IV is overkill for a webcam, but as you can see, it looks stunning. I actually could plug in like this other lens right now. Like I could put on a 50 mil or an 80 mil and it would look cinema quality. Like it would look so good, I would look bad. You'd be like, oh God, I could see all the imperfections on you as a human. Look at look at your face up that close with such great lighting. Anyways, the point of this story. Yeah, that's a 5D Mark IV. I've got a 1635 4.2 lens on there. Yeah, that's good. More data and information you guys probably didn't want. That's okay. There you go. I gave it to you. Okay, thanks, man. XRP. Okay. Never stop talking freely. It makes it more fun. I love it, Alex. Just having a great time. a lot of it low, but I meant mic and cam. Yeah, the mic is the Rode NT1. This is a great mic, really easy to use, just plugs in straight USB and no problems. It's slick and black. They've got this spit thing that covers me from spitting directly into the diaphragm, because when I talk all the time and all the little flavors of fly out of my mouth and I hit this black thing instead of the like gold plated diaphragm that picks up all that subtle voice vibrations. Okay, these are great. I love when we can do these live streams, because there's no way I could ever make a video where I'm just ranting like this and it it really hit the mark. Only when we are live can we get away with this type of nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you. I'm a musician too, and the mushroom method is probably the best way to invest while playing acoustic guitar. Yeah, in general, I think it's great. It helps to recognize where we are on a ball of ice and rock flying through space around a giant molten-ish, maybe not, lava thing that's like exceedingly hot, hundreds of times bigger than we are. It's always good to remember that when you're trading and investing, because this is what we're doing. I mean, just think about it, right? You're like, you get all stuck up in a trade. You're like, oh my God, I'm in a trade. It's like your day starts to feel good or bad. Your trade could be going badly. You should have used a stop loss. Get stop loss with the trade. Just go out and deal with the rest of your day, because you are floating on a ball of ice and rock flying through around a giant star that is 120 times bigger than we are. And we are just always on the verge of total extinction. Be grateful for your trades, ladies and gentlemen. I think that introspective aspect of psychedelics really help bring the macro perspective of why one would or would not care about money, and then how you can best deal with trading, because you can be in or out of a trade. If you lose a little bit of money, you come back, that's fine. Do it again the next time, and boom, now you're up. You don't do it emotionally. As soon as you get your emotions involved and you forget that you're on a ball of ice and rock floating through space, and all you're doing is staring at a screen, thinking about prices, you probably made a mistake somewhere along the way. It's like, I'm really excited. Today was the first time so sunny out, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it was really enjoyable. I just sat outside, and that to me is why I work. That's why I make more capital. It's why I also love doing it. Like, I love the ideas of finding like these raw gems of businesses before they're like the coolest things ever. And you do all this research and you try to understand these new technological things that are changing, so that you can benefit and capitalize off the participation aspect of becoming a part of that new wave of innovation. That's the fun part. But I do all that fun stuff. Well, first, I guess that's the main part, is I actually like it. But this just happens to be one of the things I like doing that makes money. I don't make any money sitting out in the sun. I'm not that beautiful, people. I'm not. Maybe I should work out more. No, we're not going down that road. I will work out more. I'm so grateful the sun is here, but I'm not so that I can have a job from sitting out in the sun. It's not really my style. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that. I've gone totally off the deep end. And I really appreciate that we can do that. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys all. I know you wanted me to go over REN and RSR, so maybe we'll do that. Wait, how long are we into this? Doesn't tell me how many hours we're into this. I'm probably like an hour into this or something. Okay. So we're an hour into this, and I want all of you to go and give the channel a thumbs up, and then subscribe if you haven't. Alex, this is a great question. Who wants to see more lives from Tio? Probably no one. After all this, what is this even about? The last 30 minutes, I've been talking like there's no particular point to the channel right now. I think I've lost the focus. It's fun because I get to go on rants with you guys, but I'm not focused on any particular sentiment. Should we look at something? Okay, I know what you guys want. You guys want me to look at the market, so we're going to look at RSR and REN. That's what you asked for. We're just going to do it. And I'm going to give you just the screen, and then we'll leave it at that. It'll be fun. Okay, so one of these ones does it. Yes. Okay, REN. Wow, all of my charts, I don't remember where REN is. It used to be right up at the top. Look at that, Pearl, Digibyte, Civic. There's so many out here. Civic might be an interesting one to keep an eye on too. Oh man, where is Ren? Okay, Ren to Tether. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Oh, okay, nice. Look at Ren. Isn't that exciting? Look at this explosion. You know, the November pullback and spike up was not as strong as I was hoping. The initial bounce we got here, this was exciting. The secondary pullback, not so much. I'm going to be patient with Ren. I think in general, when there's no clear trading range taking place, I mean, we could make an argument for something here. But when it's not this well defined, the question becomes, well, you could just be in Bitcoin. I entered a position here and I got stopped out on my Ren play not that long ago. So I haven't touched it since then. There is an opportunity here. What they're providing, I know that they've got something interesting for I think they are the ones that provide the wrapped Bitcoin. I'd have to double check on that, but at least technically speaking, there's probably an easier way to manage that idea. Okay, we'll take a quick look at RSR too. RSR to Tether. Well, part of what we're looking here right from the get-go, you just always want to look at, okay, we got some great strength coming out of October, November. That's positive. Not too dissimilar to what we were seeing with with Wi-Fi and Aave, although both performing around 200%. You see this with RSR as well versus the US dollar. I think this initial strength and character, we want to keep an eye on. This is what this really signals. Like, there's too much volatility, and it's kind of a bit of too much of an immature market at this moment for me to want to play exotics with this, even though there's so much potential value here. In terms of if you think there's something interesting from an investment standpoint, again, I stand by this thesis of think like a venture capitalist and just invest small amounts of what interests you. Because this trading range here, if it hasn't formed yet and it just all of a sudden shoots up because there's not enough data here for me, because we could be very well witnessing an LP, like these could be breakouts for all we know. There's not enough data here for me to tell, but I would want to be more patient, because even if we started to see, like, say, a horizontal trading range with a spring down here before a final breakout, this just gives me more clarity with where we are in the markets, even if it costs another 100% to get there and really kind of dissect the value of that moment. You know, the patience for the trading range, I think, is so important, because it can really decrease the time that you need to have exposure to an asset to be profitable from it, right? And that's kind of one of the key parts here, is you want to be able to enter with the least amount of time having to be exposed to it with the greatest amount of profitability, right? So with Bitcoin, that's every day since March 11th. With Ethereum, that's every day since March 11th. That's a hugely important thing to remember. Right. So here in general, if you're seeing strength of character and something that you like, you just want to keep kind of buying on a venture capital style entry, which is like whatever, $50 to $500,000 a month, a week, whatever you can afford in your regular budget and what you're interested in doing. Because again, if you want to be good at venture capital, like to some degree, you should have a fair amount of due diligence done into RSR, or just don't put much in, so that no matter what happens, you don't care. You can walk away for 5 to 10 years. And if there's that $1,000 turns into 10 million, great. You got it right. If that $1,000 turned into nothing, great. You did that right too. Anyways, we're going to leave it at this. I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. It was a fun little Sunday night rant episode. I know these ones are always, I don't know, it's kind of how we started the show. I thought it would be fun to kind of just play around, and because Canon gave us this new feature, I thought it would be a great time to try the new feature out. I mean, how often do you get to go live with such a high quality of video? Like, this is ridiculous. I love it. I can't believe I ever had a webcam. It makes my webcam look so trashy, basically, right? This quality is extremely high. So anyways, thanks guys for letting me play around and check out play around with the new gear this evening. I like that. I like that we got to mess around with the new camera. I'm glad it works. I'm glad the quality is high. Thank you, Arcane Bear family. We're going to sign off by giving you guys our outro here as well. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. For those of you in the private den, check out for your email inboxes tomorrow. You will be getting the private newsletter. We've got the reaccumulation PDF only days away for you as well. We've got our new somewhat ready, focused, kind of streamlined content plan we will be doing. We've got a podcast pretty much once a week for you. We're going to do an educational video once a week. We'll do market videos probably twice a week, and then me doing, I don't know, random like vlogs and live videos where I just talk about, I don't even know what we're talking about.